I am Razio.
What is up, guys? Razio here, and I'm going to go into this live letter lickety-fucking-split because there's a lot of information to cover. We got quite a bit of information during this live letter, so I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can so as not to bore you and make this video too goddamn long. But it's here. We've got the next section of the live letter for Final Fantasy XIV, and we've got a lot of juicy shit, so let's just dive into it, eh? So, first off, the trailer for 4.5 Requiem for Heroes was released. I will put a link to the trailer in the description down below. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's badass. Really hyped about it. Okay, let's go right into the live letter. Just a quick side note that Yoshi P said right out of the gate about the trailer is don't be surprised if what you saw in the trailer doesn't appear in the first patch of 4.5 because some of what's in the trailer is from the main story quest for part 2. So be ready for that. Also, at the European Fan Fest in February, there will be another trailer for Shadowbringers, and then in the Japanese Fan Fest, the final Fan Fest, there will be the reveal of the full trailer. They're doing it in the same way they did the Stormblood trailer where they released it and they had 2 sections that were released in the Fan Fest, and then the final Fan Fest put a third one in and combined all 3 together into one huge trailer, which is going to be badass. So we're going to get a lot more details and a lot more cool content that way. The next feature, they announced how they've already got the schedules all set up for the patches. All the schedules for patch 4.5, all the way up to 4.58 is already decided, so the schedule's in place. There's going to be a 4.5, a 4.55, a 4.56, and then a 4.58. 4.5 will hit first, and then 4.55, which is the second huge chunk, will hit 1 month later. So there's only a 4-week gap between part 1 and part 2 of patch 4.5. He did go into a little bit of detail about Beast Tribe quests, and they're not coming in until 4.56. So the little patches after that I mentioned, 4.56, 4.57, 4.58, they will be the parts of the patches that bring out the big feature changes, putting a ground foundation work in for Shadowbringers release. So they're not going to be huge, giant content pieces, the smaller patches after 4.55. He said the biggest patches are 4.5, 4.55, and actually 4.56, but everything after that is going to be mostly setting foundation for Shadowbringers and adding in other little things. But there's going to be quite a spread of content from now up until the release of Shadowbringers, and I think we can all appreciate that. No fucking goddamn 14-month content droughts. But I digress. Let's keep on going. As for why they can't put this out 2 weeks after 4.5, he said it's because their schedule's very packed and they can't fit Blue Mage in between that period. So right at 4.5, Blue Mage won't be there, but 4.55 is most likely when it's going to land, because Yoshida wants players to focus on their main contents like the MSQ, the raids, before tackling Blue Mage and feeling that the pressure to go, well, I got to do this new job, and so they skip out on the other content or feel pressured to do the other content. So that's why it's going to be spread out so much. The next thing they talked about was something I'm super excited about, Ghimlyt Dark, the final dungeon of the expansion. And they said they did everything they could to make the dungeon feel and fit the identity of the final dungeon of the patch, because it's going to be pretty fucking insane, both story-wise and it's going to be pretty jam-packed with, what gets us into becoming Warriors of Darkness and that sort of thing. A little bit later in the live letter, they demonstrated the the next Four Lords boss here, Seiryu. But if I said that right, fuck. It's early in the morning, guys. Cut me a goddamn break here. And then he started talking about the Alliance raid, which is probably one of the things in Final Fantasy XIV I am most excited about, because it's Return to Ivalice. He said the story is fantastic. It's a great way to cap it off. Balthier from Final Fantasy XII will most likely be appearing in the story. So I didn't play Final Fantasy XII all the way through. So if you're familiar with 12 and you love that character, look forward to it. He said the lore lovers of Final Fantasy Tactics in 12 are gonna absolutely adore the new 24-man raid. I'm really fucking pumped for it. How about you guys? I can't wait to get my hands on Orbone Monastery. It's going to be the longest of all the raids. He said it's going to be really long. It's a long raid and the longer part of the story. So bring that shit on. And there's also going to be scenes that will make viewers really excited. So Yoshida says he wants players to really pay attention to the cutscenes they put in there. And the Alliance raid will be ready immediately on patch 4.5, so fuck yeah, I'm super stoked. It's probably one of the first pieces of content I'm going to tackle when 4.5 comes out. Next, he talked a bit about PvP, stuff like that. The new PvP area, Hidden Gorge, is going to be 4.55, again, to make sure that content's spread out. Now, this is something that you should take note on, so listen the fuck up, okay? Because he talked about Eureka, which is going to be released again in 4.55, and again, to spread shit out. When you start Eureka, Hydatos, it'll lock the substats of the current role you have from the relic weapon. So I was right in what I was saying in all my streams. You're going to have all your rolls made. So get up to, start farming Pyros again if you haven't got all 5 stats. He says your substats will be locked from your last relic quest, but once you finish Hydatos, you can re-roll them again. You can re-roll them as many times as you want after that. But Pagos, he says, will have changes. It'll be buffed to make getting your 5, rolls easier in the expansion. And Pyros is going to be buffed. Pagos is going to be buffed. So, and I'm sure Animos will see some changes. So there'll be some catch-up mechanics in place. And he did also say Yojimbo will also be somewhere in patch 4.5. So if you're a Yojimbo fan, which I am, he's one of the coolest summons in the other Final Fantasy games. He will be in the... we'll see him somewhere in 4.5. Whether we fight him or do dealings with him, who knows? We'll find out. Next, he talked about how the world shifts, the data center changes are going to take place. He says the first expansion will be done in Europe and North America simultaneously. Basically, they want EU and NA population rebalance to shuffle and settle before they go any further, because they're going to offer free transfers to everybody. So you can get on the data center you want to be on with your friends, family, what have you. So once 4.57 hits, then they'll release the world visit system in 4.57. That's going to be the primary focus of that, and then they'll adjust it as they need to up into 4.58 and 5.0. They'll refine it so it works better, and yeah, so don't expect to be able to just bounce around worlds immediately on 4.5's release. It's going to be 4.57 before that feature's available. We're kind of stress testing it for them to see how it works out. And he said to note that if a congested world has already reached the caps of players allowed, attempting to enter a congested world will fail. So if you try to get on a world or visit a world that's maxed out, it's not going to let you in immediately. You'll have to wait and try again later. The next thing he talked about was job adjustments, and the 3 main classes that are getting potency changes and big increases is Monk, Machinist, and White Mage, which all are kind of needed right now. Again, a little disappointed I didn't mention Dark, but those 3 jobs are the main focus for 4.5 balancing. I mean, they're going to obviously do a passive balance on almost everything, but those are the 3 ones that are getting the biggest changes. And he says they're aware that players want entire job mechanics for several jobs, Dark Knight included in this, to be revamped and changed, but those will be done in 5.0. The adjustments for patches 4.5 series is mainly buffs to bring potency up based off of endgame content that'll currently be available in the game. 5.0 will follow the the adjustment standard instead, so complete revamps and rebalances of all jobs for 5.0. And I'm sure Dark Knight will be included in that, but any job that's suffering and is not part of the fucking meta, just expect, like we did at the beginning of Stormblood, to see complete overhauls of classes. So for right now, he says the potency numbers will be adjusted on the classes for 4.5, the class balancing now, but revamps are coming in 5.0. yeah, that's pretty much all he had to say about the job changes that are coming in the 4-5 series. Something else that was interesting is they're bringing more like online style mini games into Final Fantasy XIV. So, for example, they showed this, which is Japanese mahjong, and it's going to be renamed to Doma mahjong, and you'll be able to play with each other and with friends, and you'll be able to sit down at a table and play against different difficulty level NPCs. And they're going to keep looking for games like this. So, you know, maybe we'll see poker one day, maybe we'll see some other mini games, chess, what have you, implemented in the game so you can sit with you know, your FC mates and fuck around and play some fun little games. He says they want to keep challenging themselves to find ways to bring new types of games that are done outside of Final Fantasy XIV into Final Fantasy XIV and make it work. And the Mahjong game will be available in the Gold Saucer at all times. Free trial players can access it without any restrictions, so that's fun. So now that was the end of the first half of the live letter segment. And then he went into a little more detail and showed some more screenshots of players playing Mahjong. At this point, they just went into more detail on stuff they'd already covered. Again, they wanted to be very clear that patch 4.56, so late March or later, if they run into any snags, will be when the reshuffle for North America and EU servers will happen. So keep your eye on that. If your FC's planning on transferring or going to a different data center, that's the time you want to be prepared for that. They went over again, they wanted to reiterate that the balancing job adjustments they're doing is based on 4.5x, not 5.0. So 5.0 will be a completely new job rebalance, as I said earlier. And they wanted to get this very clear, so they said it in English in the live letter. Everything else was in Japanese. But something else that they did mention as kind of a side note is the Gold Saucer is going to have a new reward that can be bought using MGP that's more expensive than the Fenrir mount, so that means it's going to be a pretty sought after item. Is it going to be a mount? Is it going to be a glamour? We don't know. Then they talked about a bunch of new items they're releasing. Of course, with the dungeon, there's going to be a new dungeon set that's coming out. Obviously, with the 24-man raid, there's going to be new gear there to get. They're introducing a shitload of new housing items, and they're rebalancing how housing items they're increasing the precision of how housing items are hung around in your house too. And they said they think it's fun that players can find ways to fuck around with their house and make shit ridiculous, and they'll only go in and fix something that if it breaks the game or gives an unfair advantage. So have fun in your houses. They're going to continue adding more things into housing content, new functionality. And then the other part of the live letter, which I'm not going to cover too much in this video, they went into a lot more detail. I wouldn't say more detail, but they expanded on what we already, what we already know about the Blue Mage. So the big things I just wanted to point out is they did say that if you're in a party full of Blue Mages and you're all trying to learn the ability, if one of you learns an ability, all of you will. So you'll all learn it if you're in a party and one person learns something, and the chance is equal. So, you know, it's if your team fights an enemy and let's say the chance of you learning a new ability is 30%. If that 30% procs, every Blue Mage in the party is going to get it. So, you know, you're not going to be the unlucky bastard sitting there while your other Blue Mage friends learn something and you sitting there with your thumb up your ass. But if you want more details about the stuff they went into on Blue Mage, they pretty much just covered the learning of abilities. There's not going to be immediately on release unique mounts and things for Blue Mages to get in the challenge mode, because they said they don't want to force people to feel obligated to level Blue Mage even if they don't want to, just to get a mount or something. But later on in 5.0 and beyond, they're going to add more challenges to the Masquerade, event, and then which will have unique rewards like mounts and other things like that. So anyway, guys, this has been what they went over in the live letter. I'm really, really looking forward to it. What do you guys think? What are you looking forward to most? For me personally, I'm looking forward to the MSQ, the Ghimlyt Dark, and of course, Return to Ivalice or Bone Monastery, man. Like I said in my stream, they should rename it to Orboner Monastery, because that's what it's giving me right now. Anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. If you like the video and you like my content, please subscribe, like the video, share it. If you didn't like it, I don't give a fucking rat's ass, each to their own. But follow me on social media and Twitter and Twitch, and come hang out with me when I stream. My stream times are in the About section as well as on my actual channel itself. Anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. As always, keep it fucking real.